Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whatever time it is, wherever you are on God's beautiful earth, I hope you're doing well. I am pleased to see you here for another episode of our Minecraft relaxation block. Basically, this is our chill sort of Monday video where we just kind of go through and we're building a homestead here in Minecraft and building up this medieval village. And just hanging out. We got a few guys that live in this trough here. Yeah. Whatever that's all about. But yeah, on our previous episode, we went through and we built a fence all around this village to try to keep zombies out, so that none of these other villagers would end up meeting a horrible undead fate. Yeah. Trying to think here what we're gonna do. This guy likes to run into fires, but it happens. It really happens. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Saved Zillennial. If you are new to the channel, we do just a lot of video gaming content. We do 3 episodes a week. We've got this video, which is our Monday video, Minecraft relaxation block. We also do Wildcard Wednesdays. Basically, that's just sort of oh gosh, it's kind of the general like spooky ambient gosh, I'm trying to think of the words that I used the last time that I was talking about it. Suspenseful thriller, sometimes horror, sometimes not. We just finished our Lost in the Woods series over there last week. That was for a Minecraft hardcore horror survival. We were trying to get to 100 days, but we did not get to 100 days by any stretch. I forget what the actual tally is of where we got, but yeah, it's just we like to have fun over there. We like to do some crazy stuff. This week's Wildcard Wednesday, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll just have to tune in because I want it to be a surprise. But it is going to be fun. I'll tell you that much. And then, of course, our Fridays, formerly known as Blockbuster Pizza Party Fridays. I'm slightly changing the name, but it is still the same sort of thing. It's our Nostalgia Pizza Party Friday nights. Basically, that's just kind of one of those deals where we just kind of play some older games, not necessarily retro. They can be for sure, but it's essentially just video games that I used to play, or video games that I kind of have like a sentimental attachment to, and we just play those. Currently, we are on our full playthrough of Call of Duty Finest Hour on the GameCube. That's pretty fun. Definitely go check that out. Yeah, we're not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing next as far as our Nostalgia Pizza Party Fridays. I've got a couple of ideas for different games that we can play. I'm definitely willing to hear some suggestions. There's a lot of games out there. Like I said, I've got a short list of games that I definitely want to get to. Oh, I like that. I like being able to see that fire from over there. It'll just kind of give me a fair idea of where I'm at. Currently, what I'm doing, I kind of mentioned it briefly in the last episode, but I'm trying to find a little area where I can build my homestead. I didn't necessarily want it to be super close to the village, but I don't necessarily want it to be too far away. I want it to be relatively easy to get back to. I like this area though. This is kind of, if you remember way back in the first episode or two of the relaxation block, I was talking about wanting to have my homestead just kind of be in kind of a meadowy field, some rolling hills, and I wanted it to be near a body of water. And honestly, when we found that village, I really thought that village kind of checked all the boxes as well too. And I also think that just kind of this little area right here where we are in this little cove or whatever, this inlet, I honestly think this might be perfect, really. We've got a good mix of the spruce trees, what else, oak trees, aspens, If that's, is that what these are called? I forget. What is it? Birch. Aspens. It's birch. I'm like, I don't think that's what they're called. But in any event, let's just go ahead. We're going to start clearing out some stuff, gathering some wood so that we can start building our homestead. I'm trying to think here. Kind of want maybe to put it, hello puppy. I need to, I'll have to run back out and get some bones so that I can tame a couple of these guys because I'd like to have some dogs. I think that'd be so fun. Maybe what I'll do is start the cabin like somewhere up here, maybe kind of like on top of the hill. I'm not really looking for like a super huge, you know, manor or anything like that, or like a big, you know, fortress kind of style, you know, whatever. It's just gonna kind of be like a small little like log cabin kind of thing. But I kind of actually really like this area. Ooh, some bees over there. That's cool. Maybe get some honey. Yeah, I like this. We're kind of like right on the cusp of the birch forest where the two biomes meet. We've got the body of water and, you know, just infinite possibilities that way as well too. So yeah, I'm liking it. I think this will be like a really good area just for like the basic house. So let's just get to it, you know. But yeah, if you have not checked out some of my other videos, I would definitely encourage you to. I think they're pretty fun. This YouTube channel is really just kind of a passion project for me. It's just a way for me to be able to play video games without feeling like I'm completely wasting my time. I can just share the experience with you guys, you know. And usually, you know, some episodes we like to jib jab and, you know, I talk about just random stuff, random thoughts that pop into my head. Some episodes, you know, we're a little more quiet, a little more contemplative or contemplative. Still haven't figured out the right way to say that. But yeah, you know, Minecraft is one of those fun games. If you remember the first episode, if you had seen that, I talked a little bit about my relationship with Minecraft, you know. It was one of those games that was like, I mean, gosh, when it hit the zeitgeist, oh man, it hit the zeitgeist hard. I mean, for real. Like, I remember when Minecraft was first coming out, and it blew everybody's mind, you know? I just don't really know, I just don't really know if there were really any games that kind of had that same sort of feel to them, you know? Because, like, for me, different people have different thoughts about what Minecraft, like, you know, the style is and stuff like that. I've always kind of, like, liked it as kind of sort of like a medieval fantasy because, I mean, you know, you do get, like, the armor crafting and you got, like, swords and bows and stuff, and it's definitely got some of that vibe to it, which is cool. And then there's also kind of like a somewhat of a, like, you could definitely take it in more of a modern direction, and then, like, the whole mods thing, mods is something that totally, like, for me anyway, that's something that, gosh, it's really kind of funny, and it's really kind of tough sometimes, because when you talk about, like, sometimes when I talk about, like, my experiences, I have a tendency to just say, like, you know, oh, there was nothing like this, you know, up to that point, and I feel like sometimes that might be construed as me, like, trying to say that, like, oh, you know, nothing existed in that way, like the thought that I was gonna kind of go down was that, like, before Minecraft, there was not really any games that were as, like, in the zeitgeist that I was aware of that, like, mods were a thing. Like, I didn't, and that's kind of where I get into this whole thing about, like, I feel like it probably could be confusing to some people, or, like, some people might construe it as me, like, kind of spreading some kind of misinformation about, like, Minecraft being the first game to ever have mods. I mean, I think basically since computer games were a thing, you know, you think about, like cheats on old video games, like even like SNES video games, and basically like the old, like, Game Shark, like, console, you know, cartridge freaking cheats or whatever. Like, there's been modifications to video games, like, basically since they first existed, right? So that's not necessarily what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that, you know, in my perception, Minecraft was, like, the first video game that I ever heard of to have, like, modifications, and that blew everybody's mind away, because all of a sudden you have this game where not only is it already like that sort of like sandbox style, like anything goes, you know, you literally, you know, do whatever you want, even more so than, like, you know, something like let's say like a Skyrim kind of game where, like, yeah, you know, there's a lot of freedom because it's a role-playing game, but obviously there are still certain parameters that you have to follow and stuff like that. I mean, Minecraft just kind of blew all that out of the water because it's like, well, I mean, there really is nothing that you have to do. Like, the only things you have to do are the things that you want to do. And it's, you know, the art style, I think, really was what got a lot of people's attention as well, too, because it's kind of like, I don't know, would it be fair to describe it? Would it be appropriate to describe the Minecraft style as like a retro style? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's pixel, right? And I think it's interesting because especially like when it first came out, it was like pixel that was done in a certain way. Like it never felt like an old game to me anyway. But it definitely like the idea that it was like stylized like that, like I don't know, that's just so cool, you know. I had a discussion with a one of my coworkers who him and I talk about video games and stuff a fair bit, and you know, we kind of we were talking about that sort of like the idea that video games nowadays, and this is kind of starting to shift, I think, especially like with the prevalence of indie games over the last like decade or so. But it seemed as though for a good while, most of like the AAA games, um, they were kind of headed in that direction where it seemed like they were just all about like hyper realism, right? Like it was like how realistic can we make this game in the sense of like motion capture and like just it's got to look like real life, right? Like it's got to look like real life, and it kind of headed in that direction and is still going in that direction. I mean, a lot of the new games that are coming out, like you get all this like photorealism stuff, and like you have like Unreal Engine 5, which is capable of some pretty fantastic stuff. And I mean, that's, I don't know, that's all well and good. I kind of have my opinions when it comes to hyperrealism in video games. I mean, I don't know. There is part of me like video games are an art form, and I like video games that are kind of more stylized, or at least have like their own like unique aesthetic. Like they're not trying too hard to just be real life. I definitely like stuff like that. Um, I'm not saying that there's not a place for hyper-realistic video games, and I'm not saying that I don't necessarily play them. But that's just not what I necessarily like look for, right? Like that's not like I'm not going out buying a new game because I'm like, oh yeah, this is finally gonna look like I'm just stepping into, real life part two or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like the video game's got to be fun first and foremost, and that's why I love Minecraft. Like I can sink so much time into this game just playing it, right? Like it's just such a time sink, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. I mean, obviously, as long as you're not skimping out on like your life's responsibilities, I definitely don't think video games should ever get in the way of like you doing your chores or working or whatever the case may be. Like we obviously do have IRL responsibilities and obligations that we have to live up to. But video games are just, it's a fun hobby, and I definitely view them as an art form for sure. And whether or not that art is like in the actual like aesthetics, like with Minecraft and just the style, like it's just got such a unique style, and I mean, just so beautiful. Whether or not it's an art form in that sense of like the actual visuals, or if it's like an art form in the sense of like the story and the storytelling, which I mean, say what you will, right? Like Minecraft, I think really like hit home with the visuals department, and like with the actual gameplay. But like I guess you could kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent and say that the story part of it is just whatever story you want to tell, right? Which that's totally cool as well too. But obviously you have some games that like Skyrim that what is going on here? What are you doing? What? Yeah? You okay? You okay? You just hiding there? That is the cutest thing I've seen. And just like that, I have completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I was talking about like, you've got games that tell a story, right? And the story is really, really great. So I mean, it's an art form. It can be an art form in a lot of different ways, right? And I don't necessarily think that any one of those, ideas of visuals versus like storytelling, versus like gameplay mechanics, I don't think any one of those kind of, takes higher priority over another. So, I mean, it all just depends on what you're looking for. Get back in the village. What are you doing? Don't be going out, you little turd. Hey. Jeez, man. I didn't think you were going to try to dip out, bro. I do think it's kind of funny that in one of the previous episodes, I was in an area that had a bunch of, that mossy cobblestone, and I got like 4 stacks of it, because I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to use this to, make like a watchtower or something, or, you know, just like part of the wall for the village that I eventually got to. And, of course, this village spawned like in that biome that has that, which I thought was really funny. And even like, look, check some of the freaking structures in this village actually have some of that too, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, Minecraft, you know, I don't know, right? Like, I think Minecraft is still pretty prevalent, and I think it's still significant, especially in the video gaming sphere. To a lot of people, I can understand how it might be considered like a little bit outdated, you know, maybe past its prime. I mean, I get it for sure, but I don't know. I like Minecraft. That's all that I can really say about it, right? But yeah, let's just run back out there and let's gather some more materials. I've been toying with the notion of potentially on our nostalgia pizza party Friday nights, potentially doing like some Skyrim stuff. Skyrim is another one of those games that, like, gosh, in my opinion, I think it's a very similar sort of like, what is the word I'm trying to find here? It's in a similar boat to Minecraft, just in the sense that, like, boom. It came out kind of in that same sort of period of time, like, you know, turn of the 2010s, right at the beginning of the decade. And I think Skyrim is definitely, like, you know, there's a lot that can be said about it, and I don't think that it's necessarily, I wouldn't think it would be inappropriate to say that Skyrim really, like, set some standards. I don't think it would be inappropriate to say that Skyrim set some standards and really became like a touchstone when it came to like video game culture, right? I mean, people still know. It's hard to find somebody who's not in the video game spheres that doesn't at least know what Skyrim is, even if they haven't played it. And maybe this is just my my ego talking, but I feel like everybody's played Skyrim at least once, right? Is that me just trying to cope for the fact that I've probably spent like over 1,000 hours over the last like, you know, what has it been? 13 years or so playing Skyrim, on and off. I definitely don't play it as much as I used to play it, but Skyrim is definitely another one of those games that's just like, oh, it's like riddled with sentimental value for me, like 100%. So I'm kind of toying with that, toying with the idea of maybe doing like a couple of like one or two off specials of Skyrim, just like vanilla, kind of like what we're doing here with Minecraft. Now, obviously, like vanilla Minecraft versus vanilla Skyrim. I know that, you know, people can talk about like the anniversary edition of Skyrim, and, you know, there's a lot of like bug fixes that they did, and then you get into like community. What is it, community content or whatever it is, all the like, it's basically just mods that are like now part of the package for Minecraft or for Skyrim. I don't know, you can talk about all that and stuff like that. But vanilla Minecraft versus like vanilla Skyrim, right? Like, I think it wouldn't be too far out of the realm of possibility to be able to boot up a copy of Skyrim like right now. I could probably boot up my copy on my Xbox right now, and I feel like I should be able to go in, well, maybe not in the anniversary edition, I don't know. See, it's just been too long since I played, so I don't know if there's a way I could go in and like get rid of all the new stuff that it added and try to get it back to like, you know, circa 2011 Skyrim, just like minus a lot of the like game crashing bugs and stuff like that. I mean, what a frustration, right? Like, does anybody else remember like playing on Xbox 360 like back in like 2011, 2012, like even up into the, you know, mid 2000s, just on your copy of like Xbox 360 version of Skyrim, and just like, for me, there was always like this palpable fear of like every time I went through like a door or like another threshold, there was a palpable fear of my game just crashing, right? Like getting the infinite loading screen. I know I'm not the only one who experienced that, right? But it would be nice to be able to like, and honestly, that is something that they've definitely fixed with modern consoles. You know, I can boot it up on my Xbox One, and I never have to worry about that. You know, unless I've got some crazy mods installed. Which, yeah, I have definitely played Skyrim with mods, 100%. Right? Like, who hasn't? You know, modded Skyrim almost became just as much of a cultural phenomenon as like modded Minecraft did, for sure. Only it's just kind of one of those things that is kind of a similar situation to what it was for me with Minecraft, where even though I had a copy of Skyrim, I was watching all kinds of YouTubers who were like adding all kinds of crazy stuff to Skyrim, like via mods on PC, and it was like, I mean, I was very happy with my copy of Skyrim on my 360, and I sunk hours and hours of time into that game. But there was always felt like an element of like I was missing out on something, you know, because I couldn't be a part of the modding community. Let's see here. I kind of forgot what area I was building my house in. I was down there clearing a bunch of trees, which I guess I want to. I definitely want to clear all of these trees out because I want to fence off like a big pasture where I can put a bunch of sheep. That's what I was going to do. I left a bunch of my bones over here. I thought I forgot to check before I came back, but I'm fairly certain that I had a bunch of bones over here. There's a lot of wolves too. I'm so excited. I love dogs. Love having a dog in Minecraft, right? Or a few. Come on, makes the game just so much better. Cats are nice too. I've just never had a lot of luck training cats in Minecraft, but I know that they're very useful, especially like they repel creepers, I think is still a thing. I'm sure they haven't gotten rid of that feature. Whoops. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so I'm toying with the idea of maybe doing like some Skyrim stuff on nostalgic pizza party Friday nights. I have one bone. Okay. Do you think I'll be able to tame one of these wolves with one bone? These are even like just plain white wolves too. I know there's a bunch of like different colored ones that were added as well with one of the more recent updates. Oh, but yeah, I was kind of talking on a tangent about like vanilla Minecraft versus like, you know, quote unquote vanilla Skyrim. I think it wouldn't be too hard to boot up a copy of Skyrim on my Xbox One like today and go in and like tweak some stuff, and I should be able to play a version that's basically the same as what I played, you know, 2011, just minus a bunch of the like game breaking bugs and stuff like that. Whereas with Minecraft, I mean, it's certainly doable. Yes, come on. That is what I'm talking about. I know it's absolutely still possible to like load up a version of like, what is it, alpha Minecraft or like beta Minecraft or whatever it is. It's very, very possible. But like, this is Minecraft, you know, like what I'm playing right now, and it is way different than what it was, you know, over a decade ago when it first came out. Whereas like Skyrim, like, yeah, sure, you know, after the anniversary edition and stuff, and after they added a bunch of those like immersion mods as part of the base game kind of thing, and like quality of life stuff, it looks a little bit different, but it's really not that different. But yeah, Skyrim, man. Skyrim is one of those, like, I'd like to say, I wish I could say that I spent like a ton of time playing Minecraft when I was growing up, but truth of the matter is I didn't get the opportunity to play a lot of Minecraft. Except for the console version, my Xbox 360 version, which I sank a good bit of time into, but it's no contest whatsoever. Like, it would not be out of the question to say that if I had to tally up the amount of hours I've spent on video games, the one that I have probably single-handedly put the most hours into, it's gotta be Skyrim, like, hands down. It really has to be. Like, Skyrim is just it for me, like, really. Skyrim just kind of informed so much of my opinions and views on video games, 100%. Gosh, like, it would be really hard for me to be able to count it. I don't know if I can go into my Xbox One and look and see, because it should be the same profile that I had on my 360, just like, you know, on my Xbox One, but I don't know if it carries over all of that data, if it'll show like my total time spent on the game, because I don't think I would be lying if I said that I've put way more than like probably over 1,000 hours into that game since I got it. That's a really funny story about getting that game, though, for sure. I hope you guys don't mind a long, drawn-out story, but that's why you tune in, right? You tune in so that we can jib-jab a little bit, or rather, I guess you can hear me jib-jab about, like, you know, just stuff that I find interesting, and a lot of it is obviously, like, video game related. Has to do with, like, nostalgia for video games. Because, like, this is really going to date me saying this, and I don't necessarily have to say it like this, but, like, I'm at that age now where I'm getting into less and less new video games, which, I mean, obviously if you've watched a lot of my videos, you know, you'll probably have heard me say once or twice that I'm 26, right? I was born in 98, so I'm not necessarily like geriatric by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, I'm not young really, like when you compare me to other people who are consuming like, you know, this form of media, like video games and stuff like that. Like the kids who are like, let me put it to you this way, right? The kids who are the age, like, how am I trying to say this, right? The kids who are my age when Skyrim came out, like circa 2011, the kids who are that age now, like the culture with video games is completely different. You know what I mean? Like the culture is completely different. That's kind of part of the reason we had a little bit of a discussion in one of our first episodes when I was kind of like introducing the channel and introducing myself. The username saved Zillennial, right? Like Zillennial, if you're somebody who kind of gets into the whole like generation cohorts stuff, like with, you know, Gen X, Millennial, Zoomer, Gen Alpha, stuff like that. Like Zillennials would be people who were like me, were kind of born at the tail end of the 90s into like, you know, '01 or maybe '02, essentially just born right on the cusp of the new millennia. And the cultural like markers of people who are in this kind of age group, like a lot of us kind of like fall in a little bit more with like millennial culture. A lot of us fall in a little bit more with like Zoomer stuff. Really just kind of depends on, you know, what the circumstances were of your upbringing, right? But it's like, I tell people all the time, when I was growing up, I was called a millennial, right? Like I was called a young millennial. So like when I looked into it a couple years ago out of curiosity, just thinking like, you know, I wonder what you know, do people still consider me like a millennial? Like what are we doing here? Like now all of a sudden it all kind of shifted a little bit, and I'm just going to leave him here to take care of the village while I'm gone. It all kind of shifted a little bit, and now people who are my age are called Zoomers, right? And if I would never have read that, I would have never have even thought that somebody who was born in 98 would be considered a Zoomer, right? Like Generation Z. But that's totally like, if you read most of the like conventionally accepted like date ranges for like Generation Z, it totally, I think I saw it was like 96 to like early 2010s, you know? And I mean, that's just crazy to me because I grew up being called a millennial. And it is really crazy because if you go by those parameters of like, you know, late 90s to like early 2010s as being Zoomers, then, you know, I've got two sisters, right? And we're all 5 years apart. So they're 5 years south of me, meaning my little sister is 5 years younger. She was born in '03. And then my baby sister is 10 years younger. She was born in '08, right? So if you think about that, based off of those parameters, we're all Zoomers, right? On paper, we're all Zoomers. But I'm going to tell you right now that the cultural differences between me and my baby sister, who's 10 years younger than me, I mean, it's a country mile wide. You know what I mean? Just like the differences between us. And even between me and my younger sister, who we're only 5 years apart, I mean, it's completely different. Like, we're just so different when it comes to that sort of stuff. And so when I discovered that there was such a thing as micro generations, and that there were people out there who are kind of reshaping the way that we think about these like generation cohorts, and instead of just having like a solid break between millennials, which is Gen Y and Gen Z, instead of just having a solid break, you know, people have kind of inserted this little like 5-year micro generation between like, I've read it that it's between like, what was it, like 97 and 01. There's not really like a solid accepted range, but you know, it's just kind of, it's just weird, right? Because there's some people who are my age that definitely kind of align a little bit more with Zoomer stuff, you know, which is totally cool. But then there's people like me who are like, you know, don't call me a Zoomer. Not that there's anything wrong with Zoomers, but it's just like, that's just not, it doesn't describe the way that I like view the world. It doesn't really describe the, you know, the, what's culturally relevant to me versus like what's culturally relevant to like my sisters, right? So, you know, we're different enough that I feel like having that like micro generation of like a zillennial, is appropriate. You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting. But like, to circle the entire thing back to what I was originally talking about is this idea that the culture of video games, especially in the state that they're in right now, is so different than it was when I was growing up and in my formative years. I just don't play a lot of new video games, for a multitude of reasons. You know what I mean? There's some new video games that I play, and it's like if you've watched my Wildcard Wednesday Lost in the Woods episodes that just wrapped up last week, then you'll know that I definitely do. I like a lot of newer, like contemporary, like indie horror games, and not even just horror games, but like indie, like mystery thriller kind of stuff. One that I really got into, which I don't know how new it is. I'd have to look at the date again. I know it's newer, but I mean, geez, like it's, you know, we're like freaking midway through the 2020s by now, so the stuff that I even stuff that I consider to be newer, which would be like, you know, late 2010s, that's kind of considered old by a lot of standards now. But like, I like that game Firewatch, if you've ever played that. That's kind of one of those, it's a bit of a shorter game, and it's kind of one of those like psychological sort of like mystery thriller games where it's real ambient. You know, you're not necessarily being like chased around by a serial killer or a monster or anything crazy like that, but there is a mystery element to it, and it's real. It just really challenges your perceptions. It's just so fun, right? Like, I like stuff like that. You know, I like real cool games like that. But I mean, that's a newer game, right? But it seems like the older I get, the more niche my taste is becoming when it comes to this kind of thing, which I guess is just natural, you know. But like, you know, I'm past that point in my life where I'm running out to buy the newest COD game, like, you know, every season, you know what I mean? Like, the newest Call of Duty game that I've played is, I did play Cold War, Black Ops Cold War, and I actually thought that was pretty good. But even that game is like, what, 2021? So, I mean, is it 2021? I can't remember, man. It might even be a little newer than that. I don't know. And then I've been playing the Modern Warfare remake, which I just like grind multiplayer on that, which, you know, pretty fun. But that's just like shooters, you know. But I'm content with playing, because like the Modern Warfare remake came out in 2019, so that's like ancient compared to what's coming out now. Now they have like Black Ops 6, which I went on a whole diatribe about that. If you watch my Call of Duty Finest Hour playthrough on my Nostalgic Pizza Party Friday night videos, it's just crazy, you know. Video games definitely are one of those things where you have to walk a fine line, and I totally get that, because it's the same way with any sort of like mainstream media, whether or not it's movies, television, video games. You have to walk a fine line between you know, making a product, because I mean, it's products, right? Like, we're here to consume this stuff, we're gonna purchase it, we're gonna pay to interact with these forms of media, whether it's watching or playing, or listening, you know, in the case of music. You have to walk a fine line between doing stuff that's a little bit more artsy and stuff that's a little bit more like, you know, hey, I have a specific vision. And I mean, it's that age-old struggle of like the studio like coming in and sticking their fingers in the pie and like stepping on the toes of like the directors and stuff like that. Like, it's an age-old problem. It's nothing new when it comes to these sorts of types of media. But video games especially, it's one of those things where Especially like, and that's what I'm saying is like people want to make these like super hyper realistic, crazy games that are like crazy big and crazy huge. And I mean, like I said, I'm not saying that that's bad, but I am saying that it's expensive. And I think that they have to follow a formula because they have to at least know that they're going to like make somewhat of a profit on it. They just can't take a lot of risks with the mainstream games anymore because it's become such a huge industry and it is making so much money, and there's been a lot of infrastructure that's been developed around it that has to have that money to sustain itself. And because of that, it does seem, I don't think I would be alone in this thought that it seems like mainstream studios are a little bit less willing to like really break the mold. It seems like they're way more willing to just sort of like stick with the formula, um, and that's why I've kind of gravitated a little bit more towards like indie stuff, indie titles, because it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of money to make a decent indie game, and a lot of times it can just be like a single person project. It can just be like a passion project for somebody, kind of like what this YouTube channel is for me, right? It's just a means for somebody to express themselves. And I like the indie games, and it's especially cool too because, I mean, the idea of like open source software to like make games has been a thing for quite a while now. But it definitely feels like it's becoming a lot more prevalent for people to be able to like step into that world and just kind of make a video game. Like if you have an idea that you think is a good idea, kind of kick it around some people, see what other people think, and if it seems like it has some legs, then get it walking. You know what I mean? Like just get on it. And it takes a hot minute to make a video game. Like I know that much. I've never made one, but maybe in the future, among my other passion projects, I think it would be super cool to make an independent video game. Just something short, a couple hours, few hour story, whatever, right? But because it is an art form, and I really feel strongly about it being an art form. And that's why I don't know, if I hear enough good things, like, let me put it this way, right? I don't necessarily strawman myself into this position of like, I'm never touching a mainstream video game title, ever, because I think that's kind of ignorant, and I think that we should always be willing to try stuff. Even if it looks like it's something that's like, oh, they've done this before, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Like I just saw a joke on Reddit the other day of, somebody was talking about Elden Ring, right? Which that's another like brutal passion of mine. Here, hold on, I gotta pause for a second. Sorry, I had to take a quick phone call. But anyways, yeah, I saw this joke the other day about Elden Ring, right? It was in the Elden Ring subreddit, and that's a game that I played. Like I think I put, which to some people this might not seem like a lot, but I put about 100 hours into that game since it came out. Loved it, great game, right? And I've been playing the other FromSoft games like the Dark Souls trilogy. Been playing that basically since 2013, so like 11 years. But it was a joke about how it's like, basically like they follow kind of, it's the same kind of thing, right? They follow a formula for the Souls style, the FromSoft Souls games where it's like, medieval dark fantasy, inspired by Berserk, where you play a hero that's supposed to like take over a dying kingdom, to like usher in a new age of fire. You know what I mean? Like it's formulaic in that sense because there's like really clear influences for it. But I feel like every entry into that franchise has its own unique elements to it. And I mean, every time a game in that franchise comes out, I play it, and I usually like it. I have not found one that I don't like yet. I even like, if I can be a little honest with you guys, maybe tell you guys a little bit of a secret, but the PS5 that I bought last year, I bought that PS5 specifically so that I could play the Demon's Souls remake, because what got me into the Souls franchise, the Souls series of games, was years ago when I was in I think it was like gosh, I'd have to do a little bit of like math on this because I don't have the numbers just on the top of my head. I can't remember what grade I was in, but it was either middle school or early high school. And my best friend at the time, he had a PS3, and I went over to his house for a sleepover, and we had already been playing Skyrim. Him and I separately had both like fallen in love with that game, and we talked about it all the time, and we were both still playing it like hardcore, right? Which is why I think it was somewhere around like 2012 or 2013 when this happened. But he showed me Demon Souls because he asked me, he's like, hey, you know, if you like Skyrim, like I have this game that I think you'll really like. And he was really into Demon Souls and Dark Souls around that time, and he got me into those games. And as soon as I freaking played it, I absolutely fell in love with it, right? And I went and bought a copy of Dark Souls on my 360 because, of course, anybody who knows that Demon Souls, even in its remastered form, is a PlayStation exclusive, along with Bloodborne, and then there's one other one, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I can't remember. No, I don't think so, because I think I'm mistaken on that, but the Dark Souls trilogy, in any event, it was available on Xbox, and I played the Dark Souls trilogy a lot. Like, I was deep into original Dark Souls. When I found out Dark Souls 2 was coming out, oh my gosh, I begged my mom to get me a copy, and she did, you know, because my mom's the coolest, man. I love my mom. And yeah, I played a crap load of Dark Souls 2 as well. Dark Souls 2, like, I feel like we're well into the period of being able to like admit that Dark Souls 2 is a fantastic game. I love Dark Souls 2. Is it my favorite of the franchise? No, but is it my least favorite? I don't know. I don't rank them like that. I love all of them in their own way, right? But I bought my PS5 just so that I could play the Demon Souls remake. So that I can recapture that. And the Demon Souls remake is freaking fantastic. If you have not tried that out, or if you've never tried any of the Souls games, oh my gosh, you absolutely should. So much fun. Like, no freaking joke about it. But yeah, I mean, those games, but that's kind of, it's a unique enough sort of control group, I guess. Maybe that's not really the right terminology, but yeah, every time one of those games comes out, like, I'm playing it, you know, like, I am playing it, because they have yet to disappoint me. They really have yet to disappoint me. And that's a new game, you know. Elden Ring is new, so it's weird. Like I said, it's not that I don't play new games. It's just that my taste in video games has just gotten so much more niche over the years that I've been playing, and especially like into adulthood. So, but anyways, yeah. Gosh, I just love it, man. But Skyrim, yeah, that's to circle the whole conversation back. I'm debating on doing some Skyrim stuff. Maybe freaking I might just do a playthrough of Skyrim. I think that would be super fun. Look at this little cave down here. This is terrifying. Let's light this son of a gun up. How deep does it go? Oh, is it like an actual cave? Ooh, oh. Better be careful. Do I have any dirt? Yes, I have a little bit of dirt. Let's see. Yeah, I'm hot off the heels of a Minecraft horror survival playthrough. If you haven't, definitely go check it out. It was a lot of fun to make. We're moving on. I mentioned it earlier in this video, but we're moving on to a different game for our Wildcard Wednesdays. But I will definitely be doing more Minecraft horror mod playthroughs, 100%. I might even go back to that specific mod pack. I can't remember what the name of the mod pack is off the top of my head, so you'll have to forgive me for that. I don't have my notes for that playthrough in front of me, but I can almost guarantee you that I will definitely be coming back to that specific mod pack because it was so much fun. And I was trying to, if you watched any of those videos, you've seen me like fumbling around with the controls and the different like gameplay features and changes that were made in that mod pack, and I was starting to kind of get the hang of it towards the end, but I just didn't want to like beat a dead horse with it, so to speak, and just play that indefinitely. Now that's not to say that I don't like doing like longer form stuff. My nostalgic Pizza Party Friday night game that I'm doing, Call of Duty Finest Hour, like that's, oh gosh, I mean that's pretty much also on its. This week will be the 6th video for that as well too, and I'm not quite sure how much longer I have on that. But that is a full playthrough. But I mean, obviously that's a little bit less arbitrary than saying like I'm gonna try to survive 100 days in a horror mod pack with X amount of lives. It's a little bit different when you at least know that like, hey, this is how it is. This is how long it's gonna be. Which I forget, but whatever. That's a different story. You should still go check those out. They're really fun. But maybe once I get done with Finest Hour, like I said, I got a short list of other games that I'm gonna be playing. But I might add that to it, So right now I'm kind of clearing some space because I want my farmhouse, my little homestead, the main house, to be on this little area. But just to give me a little bit more room to work on, I'm gonna like take this top layer off and kind of just like even it all out a little bit. Gosh, you know what I probably should do before I get too crazy with this? I actually am going to come down here. I saw some coal. Let me grab some of this just because it's here. What I really need to do is find some more iron for sure. Definitely need some more iron tools. What is that noise? I'm like, dude, this is not my... Is that a llama? Is there a roaming trader around here? Because that totally sounded like a llama to me. Weird. I'm like, dude, this isn't my horror playthrough. Like, there shouldn't be anything getting ready to freaking jump scare me right now. Ooh, another little cave system here. Maybe let's check it out. Ooh. Oh, there's a witch. That's what that noise was. This is like a nice proper cave, isn't it? Except it ends. That's what the noise was. Okay. Ooh. What's up? What's up? You want some of this? Uh-oh. Fuck off. Jeez. Uh-oh. Ooh. Okay. Nice. Oh, I got a glass bottle out of that too. Okay, not too bad. Ooh, bada boom, bada boom. Nice, that's what we're talking about. Cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm looking at my timer now, and I think that probably is going to about wrap it up for today's episode. I definitely appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, if this is your first time watching any of my videos, I do have a pretty decent backlog of stuff, and we are constantly... Oh, is that cave that I was just in? That is hilarious. I should have a pretty fair backlog of stuff right now. And we are constantly uploading new stuff. We got 3 videos a week coming out for you. It would be super cool if you could check out the channel, maybe throw a subscribe my way, hit a like on the videos, and maybe throw on the notifications. That way, if you do enjoy this kind of stuff, you know, these longer format, just sort of like real, you know, low-key playthroughs and stuff like that, you know, we definitely have that in spades, and would love to see you stick around. Yeah, that's definitely one thing. Before I do forget, I'm going to plug it one more time, but on the nostalgic Pizza Party Friday nights, I'm definitely wanting to start compiling a list of viewer suggestions. Like I said, I have a short list of games that I personally am definitely going to be getting to before I start getting to like user submissions, but there is definitely going to come a point where I start doing like some suggested content. Really, it's just going to kind of depend on which games they are, how hard it's going to be for me to get them, because, you know, you can watch some of my Pizza Party Friday night videos, and I kind of explain it, you know, in a little bit more detail about just like the reason that I like to use actual, like, not even necessarily physical games, but just games that like are, I mean, it's mostly physical, but like there are some that I, you know, I don't know. You can just go watch those videos to kind of get a feel for what's going on there and what the vibe is. But definitely, like, throw in the comments if there's any, like, old video games that you used to play that you grew up on that, you know, nobody's really talking about anymore. But something that you would like to see, maybe just in, like, a one-off presentation. I'm definitely wanting to start collecting some of those suggestions so that eventually in the future, when I get to that point, we can start doing that. So without further ado, I'll let you get back to whatever it is you're doing. I hope you have a good rest of your day.